Before we begin, gently tap. Like if money stress has ever made you quietly question whether you are falling behind financially. That small action helps this video reach people who need calm, honest explanations about money without shame or confusion. Leave a quick comment telling me which state you are watching from, because living costs feel very different across America today. And if clear, realistic conversations about everyday money help you think better, consider subscribing so you never miss future videos. Now, let me ask you something uncomfortable that millions of Americans think about late at night, but rarely say out loud. Have you ever sat at your kitchen table surrounded by bills, calculator in hand, hoping the numbers somehow change? Rent or mortgage, car payments, groceries, insurance, utilities, healthcare costs, all stacked together like an impossible puzzle. You are not living recklessly, you are not chasing luxury, yet nothing ever seems left over at the end. You earn what sounds like decent money on paper, but your bank balance never seems to grow meaningfully. That quiet frustration slowly makes you wonder whether you're bad with money or missing something obvious. Here is the truth most people never hear explained clearly enough. This is not a personal failure. Something much larger has changed in America, and it has quietly rewritten what basic life actually costs. Today, I want to show you why it now takes roughly $70,000 per year just to survive. Not to live comfortably, not to build wealth, but simply to stay afloat without sliding backward financially. Once you see the math clearly, your entire relationship with money stress will begin to change. My name is Max, and I spend an unreasonable amount of time studying why hardworking people feel broke. Before we talk about numbers, we need to redefine what a normal middle-class life truly means today. This is not luxury living, social media lifestyles, or expensive vacations designed to impress strangers online. This is basic adult existence in modern America. Nothing extravagant and nothing excessive by historical standards. A modest home, a reliable car, enough food, basic healthcare, and stable utilities without constant anxiety. 2 decades ago, this lifestyle was comfortably middle class and achievable for many households without constant financial anxiety. Today, that exact same lifestyle requires an income once considered upper middle class in most parts of America. The reason is simple but uncomfortable. Essential living costs rose much faster than wages ever managed to grow. This was not temporary inflation that faded away quietly after headlines disappeared and news cycles moved on. It was a permanent restructuring of what it actually costs to exist as an adult in America. To understand this clearly, we must break down the largest expenses step by step using real numbers. Let us start with housing, the single biggest expense quietly crushing American households nationwide right now. Whether you rent or own, housing costs have transformed from manageable to overwhelming within a single generation. Recent national data shows median rent plus basic utilities now approach $1,800 per month. That figure represents a modest apartment, not luxury buildings or premium neighborhoods in expensive cities. Over a year, basic shelter alone consumes more than $21,000 of after-tax income. For homeowners, mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance combine into relentless monthly pressure. In many regions, housing now consumes 45 to 50% of median household income. Traditional financial advice recommended keeping housing near 30% to remain affordable and sustainable. That guideline quietly stopped matching reality years ago, even though nobody officially announced its death. Renting does not protect people from this problem, despite what older financial advice still suggests. Rents continue rising faster than wages while utilities, fees, and renewals quietly stack higher each year. Many renters now spend over half their take-home pay just to maintain basic shelter. This is not irresponsible behavior. It is unavoidable mathematical pressure applied month after month. Housing alone explains why so many Americans feel permanently behind despite doing everything responsibly. Next comes insurance, a category whose rising costs rarely receive the attention they truly deserve. Home insurance premiums have increased steadily for years, often far faster than overall inflation rates. In climate-affected states, annual insurance costs now rival what families once spent on groceries. Renters insurance and auto insurance have also climbed sharply, quietly inflating monthly budgets nationwide. These are not optional protections, they are required to avoid catastrophic financial consequences. Taxes represent another invisible drain that most people underestimate when thinking about income levels. A $70,000 salary does not mean $70,000 available for living expenses. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare reduce take-home pay dramatically. For many households, $70,000 becomes closer to $53,000 after deductions. That difference alone reshapes what is realistically affordable each month. Food costs represent another category where reality feels harsher every time you visit the grocery store. Since 2020, grocery prices rose significantly faster than wages across nearly every essential category. Meat, eggs, dairy, and staple foods now cost noticeably more with every passing year. This increase is not about luxury shopping or premium brands, it affects basic nutrition. For many households, food quietly consumes $8,000 to $10,000 annually. Transportation completes the pressure cycle most people underestimate until they examine the numbers closely. It is not only the car payment, even though average monthly payments reached historic highs. Insurance, fuel, maintenance, registration, and repairs stack into unavoidable annual transportation expenses. Even older vehicles now cost far more to keep reliable and roadworthy than before. Transportation alone can quietly consume $12,000 per year for many families. Healthcare is where financial stress turns into genuine fear for millions of American households. Even insured Americans routinely delay care or skip medications because of cost concerns. Premiums, deductibles, co-payments, and prescriptions combine into unpredictable financial risk. Many families budget thousands annually and still face devastating surprise medical bills. Healthcare costs punish people for being human, not for making irresponsible choices. Now we reach the moment most people avoid because the math feels overwhelming and discouraging. When you stack housing, food, transportation, insurance, healthcare, and utilities together, patterns emerge clearly. These categories alone consume the vast majority of average household income today. And we still have not included savings, retirement, emergencies, or future financial security. This is survival math, not wealth building or long-term planning. Add internet service, phone plans, basic clothing, household supplies, and routine maintenance expenses. These smaller monthly costs quietly total several $1,000s every single year. People underestimate them because each expense feels manageable when viewed individually. Together, they quietly erase whatever breathing room once existed in household budgets. This is how money disappears without obvious mistakes or reckless behavior. When taxes are added back into the equation, the $70,000 threshold becomes unavoidable. That number assumes no vacations, no emergencies, and no meaningful long-term savings. It assumes nothing breaks, nobody gets sick, and life never surprises you financially. In reality, $70,000 provides stability only on paper, not in daily life. For most families, it buys survival with absolutely no margin for error. Here is the uncomfortable truth. $70,000 does not include retirement savings, emergency funds, or future planning. It assumes you are only surviving today, not building security for tomorrow, which is why life feels unstable. This explains why so many people feel stuck even when their income sounds respectable in casual conversation. You are running hard on a financial treadmill that never moves forward, no matter how disciplined you behave. Older generations faced a very different cost structure, so progress felt easier even with smaller paychecks. For context, the Census Bureau reported a median household income at $83,730 in 2024, which sounds comfortable. But that number must cover housing, food, transportation, insurance, healthcare, taxes, and everything else life demands. The system changed quietly while expectations stayed the same, creating shame, confusion, and constant financial anxiety. Many people blame themselves because they do not see the full math stacked together in one clear picture. So now let us build that picture carefully using updated national benchmarks people can understand without finance training. Start with rent because most households feel housing pressure first before anything else becomes noticeable. A recent national rent report shows the average rent around $131 per month, which is not luxury. Over a year, that single line item becomes nearly $1,960 before utilities, fees, and unexpected renewal jumps. Add basic utilities, and many households approach $21,000 to $24,000 yearly just for shelter. That is why housing often eats the largest share of take-home pay, even for decent salaries. Next is transportation, because most Americans need reliable mobility simply to keep a job and function daily. Experian reports average new car payments about $748 monthly in Q3 2025, and used cars average $532. If you finance a typical vehicle, transportation can easily add $8,000 to $12,000 yearly before gas. Then add insurance, maintenance, tires, registration, and repairs, which keep rising even when you drive carefully. Transportation becomes a quiet budget killer because it arrives in small bills that never stop coming. Food is the next category people feel emotionally because grocery prices hit you every week without mercy. Even when you buy the same basics, the total keeps climbing, forcing smaller carts and tougher choices. A realistic food budget for many households lands around $8,000 to $10,000 annually before eating out. That is not steak dinners every weekend. It is normal groceries, packed lunches, and occasional simple meals. Food feels worse because it is unavoidable, and you cannot cancel groceries the way you cancel subscriptions. Healthcare is where the math becomes scary because costs can spike suddenly even when you have insurance. Premiums, deductibles, copays, and prescriptions create unpredictable risk, which is why many people delay care. KFF explains how out-of-pocket spending includes deductibles and copays, which can concentrate heavily for some people. A conservative annual healthcare budget might be $3,000 to $5,000, but surprises can double it quickly. This is why a single medical event can wipe out a family's progress, even when everything else is controlled. Now include insurance beyond healthcare, like renters or homeowners coverage, plus auto insurance that climbed recently. These protections feel boring until you need them, but the premiums still drain monthly cash flow quietly. Add phone and internet because modern work and school require connectivity, not optional entertainment. Add basic clothing, household supplies, and maintenance, which look small monthly but become thousands each year. People underestimate these items because no single purchase feels dramatic, yet together they erase remaining margin. Now we reach taxes, the expense people forget because it disappears before you even see your paycheck. A $70,000 salary is not $70,000 to spend because deductions reduce take-home income substantially. When you combine essentials first, taxes become the final weight that pushes families from tight into drowning. This is why $70,000 often represents survival, not comfort, and definitely not wealth building. It covers existence, not living, because it leaves almost no room for savings, joy, or long-term security. Now let me stack a simple example so you can see the leak clearly without complex spreadsheets. Housing near $21,000, transportation near $12,000, food near $9,000, and healthcare near $4,000. Add insurance, internet, phone, household supplies, and maintenance, and you quickly approach $55,000 to $60,000. That is before any meaningful savings, before any vacations, and before any unexpected expenses show up. Then taxes reduce what you take home, which means you must earn more than the survival budget. This is why people earning six figures sometimes still feel stressed, especially in high-cost metro areas. The money is not disappearing because you are lazy, it is disappearing because the baseline is higher. Economists describe a trap where costs prevent saving, and lack of saving prevents escaping costs long-term. It feels like filling a bucket with a hole because every raise gets absorbed by essential categories. And the longer this continues, the more people internalize stress as personal failure instead of structural change. Young adults delay marriage because survival already consumes income, leaving little room for weddings or stable housing. Many delay children because raising a family requires resources they cannot build while stuck breaking even. Roommates in your 30s are no longer trendy. They are a math strategy to split rent. These are not lifestyle preferences for many people. They are forced adaptations to modern costs. Geographic differences make it worse because the same salary can mean comfort in one place and panic in another. That is why national averages can mislead you, because your personal cost reality is shaped by location. Understanding this removes shame, because it proves your struggle is not incompetence, it is arithmetic. Awareness does not fix the system, but it protects your mental health and improves decision-making. It helps you judge progress using reality, not outdated standards from a cheaper era. And that clarity is the first step toward regaining control, because confusion keeps you stuck in place. When you live this close to the edge financially, every month feels like a test you cannot afford to fail. There is no margin for mistakes, because one surprise expense can unravel months of careful discipline instantly. You track balances constantly, delay purchases, and quietly hope nothing breaks, gets sick, or goes wrong. That constant vigilance creates mental exhaustion, even when the numbers technically balance on paper. Financial stress becomes background noise that follows you into sleep, weekends, and moments meant for rest. This explains why people work longer hours today yet feel less secure than their parents ever did. Any extra income is absorbed immediately by rent increases, insurance hikes, or higher everyday prices. Raises feel smaller because they are competing against systems designed to extract money automatically. Over time, this creates burnout rather than confidence, even among careful and responsible earners. The issue is not effort or discipline, It is that effort no longer guarantees forward financial movement. Understanding this changes how you should judge yourself and your past financial decisions. It separates personal responsibility from structural pressure, which most people mistakenly combine into self-blame. That distinction matters because shame causes paralysis, while clarity creates room for rational choices. When you stop blaming yourself, you regain the mental space needed to think strategically again. Even small adjustments feel meaningful when they are grounded in reality instead of guilt. This does not mean surrendering or accepting struggle as normal or permanent. It means recognizing the terrain clearly before choosing how to move across it safely. Awareness helps you prioritize stability, flexibility, and resilience over outdated status symbols. It also explains why comparison with others feels misleading and emotionally destructive today. Many people you envy are surviving the same math, just using different coping strategies. The most important takeaway is that $70,000 is no longer a meaningful success milestone. It is an entry fee required to participate in modern American life without sliding backward. Once you understand that, you stop chasing numbers that no longer represent real security. Instead, you focus on building buffers, flexibility, and decision-making power wherever possible. Those qualities matter more now than titles, appearances, or outdated income benchmarks. This shift also explains why traditional financial advice feels disconnected from lived experience. Advice written for cheaper decades fails when applied to today's cost structure. That mismatch creates frustration, not because people are careless, but because conditions quietly changed. Recognizing this restores confidence without denying responsibility or personal agency. You can be realistic without being hopeless and cautious without feeling defeated. The goal is not perfection. It is staying informed enough to avoid unnecessary financial damage. Knowledge allows you to accept trade-offs consciously instead of feeling constantly behind. It also helps you explain your choices to yourself without embarrassment or comparison. That internal clarity is rare, but it is powerful in uncertain economic environments, especially when many systems quietly profit from keeping people confused and stressed. If this breakdown helped you understand why money feels tighter than it should, you are not alone. Millions of people are navigating the same pressure without ever seeing the full picture. Understanding the math does not solve everything, but it removes unnecessary self-blame. That shift alone can change how you approach money decisions, replacing panic reactions with calmer, more deliberate choices. Clarity reshapes behavior more reliably than motivation, discipline, or willpower ever could under constant financial pressure. When you understand the math, you stop fighting yourself and start adapting intelligently to the environment around you. That mental shift does not solve the system, but it protects your confidence and long-term decision-making. If this video put words to something you have been feeling silently, consider sharing it with someone you trust. Many people feel isolated in financial stress simply because nobody explains this reality clearly or compassionately. A quiet share can help someone realize their struggle is not personal failure, but modern economic pressure. And if you want more calm, honest breakdowns like this, subscribing helps you stay informed without fear-driven noise. Future videos will focus on adaptation strategies, realistic expectations, and protecting your financial sanity long-term. Before you go, let me know in the comments which expense category shocked you the most personally. Housing, food, healthcare, transportation, or something else that quietly drains your income each month. Remember, your financial stress is not a personal flaw. It is the unavoidable math of modern American life.